Hi, we are Team 11. The company that we have chosen is Forever 21, and we are going to identify a strategic problem, analyze the reasons behind, and provide recommendations to it. Here's our agenda. First, we'll briefly introduce Forever 21, then identify its problems, respective external and internal factors, talk about its strategies, and last but not least, our recommendations. Forever 21 is one of the well-known American fast fashion retailers headquartered in Los Angeles, founded in 1984 by husband and wife from South Korea. It was originally known as Fashion 21, which was later changed to Forever 21, and has grown into various clothing lines targeting different customer segments, with over 700 stores in America, Asia, the Middle East, and the UK. Forever 21 is known for its trendy offerings and low price, which targets young consumers. At first, it only sold women's wear, but later expanded to menswear, clothing for children, accessories, beauty products, and even home goods. Over the years, the company has been involved in various controversies, and there is reported of more than 50 lawsuits filed against them, ranging from labor practice issues to copyright infringement accusations to religion issues. In September 2019, the company filed for bankruptcy protection and announced that it was ceasing operations in 40 countries and was planning to close most of its stores in Asia, Europe, and more than 30% of its stores in the US, and will try to focus on the profitable core parts of its operation in the future. The following are the problems we have identified from the company. We found out that Forever 21 had a confusing target customer base as it's originally targeted on young people. But before bankruptcy, it started to develop an elderly consumer segment. The latest product offerings confused customer perception towards the company. Especially loyal consumers, some of them felt disconnected and eventually customer churn occurred. The company adopted an over-aggressive branch expansion policy, which created intense pressure on inventory management and value chain, while further escalating the operating costs. In terms of the corporate structure, Forever 21 is under a strong control of the founder, Chang's family. They ignored advices given by the experts they recruited for business model improvements. The family adopted a top-down management approach to manage its business, and lots of employees were disappointed towards the management. Together with minimal pay and nearly non-existent benefits, it resulted in a high staff turnover rate. Forever 21 also failed to understand the recent customer preferences and approved design that did not connect to the young generation, resulting in the loss of cornerstone of fast fashion business. Moreover, youngsters nowadays are more engaged in online shopping, which leads to another battlefield in fast fashion industry. Forever 21 paid less attention on developing online offering when comparing to its competitors who are trying to develop only offering. Last but not least, Forever 21 has a rather unappealing reputation, as over the years, it has been involved in or accused of labor exploitation, sex discrimination, employing child labor, piracy, and low product quality. These controversies has affected customers' willingness to purchase its products.
Hi, I'm Morris. So now I'm going to talk about the pastel analysis. And as we all know, that's the recent social unrest in Hong Kong caused a massive, huge impact to the retail industry, and which also caused fortunately both flagship stores in Mong Kok as well as Causeway Bay were forced to shut down. And for the economic perspective, although many traditional brick and mortar retailers have begun to shrink their store, Forever 21 is still expanding. The number of stores, the increasing in rental costs due to aggressive expansion, puts a lot of pressure on the financial situation, which led Forever 21 become the latest bankrupt retailer. And the other reason is that the sustainable fashion, contrary to the fast fashion, is popular in the younger generation, and they are more concerned about economic impact of the clothes they buy. After withdrawing from the Taiwan in March this year, it will stop operation in 40 countries around the world and shut down 350 stores worldwide. And regarding the socio-cultural perspective, like other major clothing retailers, the wave of factory workers are facing similar situation. Forever 21 avoid paying wages because they are just a retailer, not a manufacturer. So this matter has nothing to do with them. Moreover, Forever 21 takes advantage of the retailer's dominance and its desire to drive down the OEM, the original equipment manufacturing price. Given the budget and the size of the Forever 21's orders, even the price is low, the OEMs cannot reject such large order. And for the technology perspective, it's quite obvious that nowadays more and more customers like to use online platforms, social media, as well as some mobile device to do their purchasing, and which this greatly affect the traditional brick-to-mortar physical store sales. And for the environmental perspective, the garment industry involves many links such as raw material, textile, transportation, and retail, which seriously polluting land, water, and even air, and bringing a lot of waste. It's also called the world's second largest polluting industry by some researchers. Cotton painting requires a large amount of irrigating waters and pesticides, which not only pollute water and soil but also cause drought. And old clothes also bring landfill problems. In the United States, for example, over 10.5 million tons of old clothes are sent to the landfills each year. And for last but not least is the illegal part. According to the CNN reports, Ariana Grande entered the Los Angeles court accusing Forever 21 and its beauty brand Really Rose of unauthorized use of her name and more than 30 images to promote the brand's product. Indeed, Forever 21 is not the first time to be accused of infringement. According to the fashion law, Puma submitted to the Federal Court of California that Forever 21 is suspect of copying Puma's free limited edition and patent footwear design from Puma and Rihanna in 2007. I'm going to talk about the portfolio forces for part of the internal factors. And considering the industry nature, fashion industry belongs to a labor-intensive industry. The requirement of technology as well as manufacturing equipment are not high. In this case, many investors can enter to this industry with a very low fixed asset investment. Moreover, the payback period in the fashion industry is shorter compared with the other industry. Hence, there will be a variety of corporates that compete with each other in this market in the future. And in general, the substitutes can be also competitive when the switching cost is low and there is less differentiation between products. Moreover, fashion industry is unpredictable as the competitors come up with new range of products regularly. Situation of appearing the threats of product for product substitution from other appearing retailers, designer, clothes, and tailor house on this market is very high. Regarding Forever 21, most of the clothes are not of the style for the millennials or Generation Z anymore due to the lack of new design and innovation. And Forever 21 also face intensive competition from large number of retailers such as Zara, H&M, Uniqlo, and American Eagle outfit, as well as newer players who sell very similar products. In addition, some direct competitors begin to adjust its business model so as to surpass other fashion companies as well as the e-commerce. In this case, for H&M and Gap, they are now going to transform their business and launch a rental shirt service to save their business. For example, H&M's members can rent up to 3 pieces of clothes at one time within 1 week, and customers can try on the store or book online in advance, and the store designer will also provide advice on how they should wear the clothes. And for the bargaining power of the supply is low, as Forever 21 has many web shops that produce the fast fashion products for them. According to the survey conducted by the California Department of Labor, some clothing workers who make clothes factory for Forever 21 only earn $4 an hour. The survey also found that 85% of the factories in 77 independent factories in Southern California were suspects of labor infringement. Their health was also influenced by the chemical produced by the cheap fabric that produce t-shirts. And last but not least, the bargaining power of buyers is high as there are other fashion lines organization. Therefore, the number of customers is an important factor in the sales of Forever 21 as it is directly proportional to the sales. First, the customer in the fashion industry are more powerful than the organization. Moreover, due to the rapid development of the e-commerce, many customers tend to purchase clothing through different online platforms. For instance, Zalora provides fashion and footwear products from fashion labels like Nike, Puma, Levi's, while Taobao creates a massive P2P virtual platform for buying clothing or accessories. And according to the Forrester's forecast, the global online fashion market is estimated to achieve 765 billion by the year of 2022. It's also expected that the traditional fashion companies can hardly survive under the fierce competition.
I'm Jeremy, and I'm going to talk about internal factors first. First of all, in terms of the core competency, Forever 21 provides the most recent design in a very affordable price. By doing so, they copy and or imitate the latest design on the runway every season, and they send those designs to the factories, and immediately those factories will start producing it in a short period of time, so customers can have the trendiest design at a very reasonable price. The second point is they rent a large retail stores, and they sell all of the sub brands. They have a lot of sub brands that target different customers, and they rent a large store so that customers can have access to all kind of product of Forever 21. In terms of the resources, we have done a VRIO analysis to find out the useful resources, which are the manufacturing and supply chain management. They are valuable, rare, costly to imitate, and also supported by the organization, so that they achieve the sustained competitive advantage. In terms of the SWOT analysis, I would say the strength of Forever 21 is they have a fast and cheap clothes production, and they also have a good shopping experience. But it is a family business. The management skills are not that good compared with other company, but they have a lot of opportunities in the future because they're closing down the stores in unprofitable markets, so it reduces the financial loss. And in terms of the threats, customers are more aware of the waste generated by fast fashion. And Forever 21 also has a lot of legal problems with the other parties. In terms of the global strategy, Forever 21 operates overseas globally. It has a lot of stores, and it follows the global standardization strategy to all overseas markets. And it means that Forever 21 can produce clothes in a lower cost because it's more or less the same. But the problem is the local office has a low responsiveness to the local fashions because designer in headquarters has all the right to design for all the clothes.
In terms of business level strategy, Forever 21 has been trying to differentiate from its competitors in three major aspects. The first one is through high speed and high frequency of product refreshment. The company is capable of duplicating the season's latest designs and styles right after they appear on runways or trade shows. And the merchandise often arrives on shelves before the originals do, so the products are always up to trend. Consumers are attracted to the stores as they can enjoy expensive designs at an extremely attractive price. On the other hand, new merchandise arrives at the stores on every single day, which is more than 3 times of the frequency of its major competitors like Zara, where new merchandise only arrives twice a week. Consumers will have a greater motivation to walk in the stores as they know that they can expect new merchandise on shelves each time when they visit the stores. Secondly, Forever 21 has a high replacement rate of products. Its replacement rate is as high as about 20%, that 1/4 of its stock will be rolled over once a week, which successfully creates an appeal of Forever 21's products by creating the atmosphere of, if you like it, then you have to buy it now. Otherwise, you may not be able to see anything like it again, which attracts customers that seek for uniqueness. Thirdly, Forever 21 has a large number of physical stores and are located in many places in the cities where it operates at. Many of its retail stores, especially the flagship stores, are located at prosperous areas in the cities. For instance, in the US, Forever 21 has a huge flagship stores at New York Times Square. The mass number of stores located around the cities make its merchandise readily available and accessible, while flagship stores with eye-catching decorations located at prosperous areas help to raise brand's image and catch the attention of customers.
Let's talk about the corporate strategy. Forever 21 targets on customers aged from 50 to 40 years old who are middle and upper middle class majority and live in urban areas. It offers a product bundle including clothing and accessories to different segments like women, men, and children. This product bundle is developed through some channels. It has a flagship brand like XXI Forever. Other brands under Forever 21 mainly target on specific segments. We talk about the transaction costs. Externally, Forever 21 need to pay money to the manufacturers. Since it has a very strong bargaining power, it can keep the production costs low. It also needs to pay for rental and professional services. Internally, there are some costs regarding the sales and marketing activities. At the same time, Forever 21 treats its employee badly by paying them at the minimum wage. Vertical integration, Forever 21 involved in both upstream and downstream industries. It sources raw material worldwide and designs the blueprints before manufacturing. After receiving the final goods, Forever 21's logistic team would distribute products from distribution center to branches. Then it undergoes the sales and marketing process. Forever 21 has established a hotline for complaint and other customer services. Forever 21 used product diversification for its dominant business model. Clothing products generate high turnover every year, while other products, such as accessories, footwear, and beauty products, are contributing some additional cash inflows. Let's talk about the restructuring and recommendation. For the restructuring of a business, first we analyze the segment through BCG matrix. Women segment is a core segment, contributing the largest portion of earnings to a business. Therefore, we recognize it as a star. Male segment is a question mark. From the empirical study, males spend more than females, but the clothing market is very competitive. It's difficult to say men's segment will be a star in the future. Newly established elderly segment is also a question mark. It's believed that Forever 21 needs to deploy lots of resources on it. Another one is a value chain analysis. The firm infrastructure is mainly designed by the Chang family with the top-down management. Due to nearly no worker empowerment and low wage level, many employees are not satisfied with the company. Forever 21 also ignored the technological development. People were worried about its POS system because of the leakage of credit card data. At the same time, Forever 21 spent less time to monitor its contractors. The exploitation of labor and child labor made damage to its reputation. For inbound logistics, Forever 21 has its distribution center and logistics team, and it did quite well in sales and marketing, especially price penetration strategy and promotion on social media. However, it's dependent on stable inventory, which differs from other fast fashion firms. It also received lots of negative comments regarding delivery and customer services.
I'm Jeremy, and I'm going to talk about the short-term, medium-term, and long-term recommendations. First of all, we have a lot of things to do in the short term. We're going to drop the elderly segments and focus back to the younger generations. We're going to listen to the advice from the experts in the period of restructuring because in the past we are not doing very good in the financial segment. And of course, we need to have the delegation appropriate. And the following fourth point, the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh point will be related to the current performance improvement. We're going to rebuild the inbound logistic service, and we're going to develop a price skimming strategy for high quality new arrivals so that we can earn more in the early stage. We need to develop a fat inventory model for the inventory management. We also need to do better in the delivery and customer services because we receive negative feedbacks from customer in this area. In medium term, we're going to focus on system development and omni-channel because we don't want to focus too much on the physical stores. We also want to work on our web store. Second, we are going to strengthen the supervision on contractors. In the past, we have a lot of problem and troubles because of our contractors are not performing properly, and we're going to improve this, and as a result we're also going to improve our company image. Fourth point, we're going to provide sufficient monetary and non-monetary motivations to our employees and so that they are going to work hard with us to overcome the current difficulties. But in long term, we're going to consider expansion again. We will decide carefully on the location instead of the past. We're going to expand that rapidly. We're not going to do that again. We're going to be more careful And second, we're going to build trust with the experts. And the third point, very important, is related to our employee. We want to help our employees to achieve psychological and self-fulfillment needs so that they're going to stay with us for long term, they're going to work with us in long term. And that's the end of our presentation. Thank you for your time.